Hi, welcome back. This channel is dedicated to my journey and the process of importing Eastern European antiques to the United States for resale. Loading containers, shipping them back here to the States where I can then truck them to antique shows around the country. So I'm currently coming to you from a factory building that we purchased. And if you're interested in the building that we bought, it's 177,000 square feet, and it is a fixer-upper to be sure. I'm making a separate dedicated video to the building if you're interested in that. But for today, I just wanted to do a haul video. We purchased this building. It came with a lot of stuff, and I segregated some of that. And I've also added some stuff that I've picked up over the years, and I just wanted to do a quick video showing you some of the stuff that we have. And a good place to start is with this over here. It came with the factory. It's an old industrial cart. I think it was made for moving heavy iron around, but it's on wheels and not super old, probably 1970s or so. But I thought it would make a great kitchen island if I put a big oak slab on it. And it's about belt high. I'm 6 feet tall. Well, not quite, just about up to my front pocket there as a 6 foot tall person. But yeah, a nice, really thick live slab countertop on that, and it would be a really cool industrial kitchen island or a bar. So yeah, that's cool. Came with the building. Boy, here's an old welder. I just like it because it's got some really cool logo and font on it, and pretty cool. Here's an old sewing table. And looks like a 1950s secretary's desk here. But yeah, this is stuff that I just couldn't get into the room over here. But so let's take a moment, and I'm gonna pull each of these items out one by one and make a quick film about them and kind of share them with you. So let's go. Okay, so before we get too far along, I just wanted to point out that a lot of this stuff is in barn fresh condition. So this building is in disrepair. It basically hasn't had anybody in it in over 20 years. And a lot of the items that you're about to see, I have kind of pulled out from the mess that's elsewhere in the building. And it hasn't been cleaned up. There are a few pieces that I've picked up over the years that are a little bit better condition, but please forgive the dirty state of all this stuff here. Another thing that I wanted to point out was that not everything that I'm about to show you is the caliber of the antiques that I want to actually curate for my antiques booth, but they may be of interest, and I knew they'd be of interest to somebody. So yeah, just keep that in mind. To start off with, we have a pair of vintage sinks here, and you can tell that they, like I said, they're in barn fresh condition, but they have these cool angled pedestals, and they have all the original hardware on them with a really cool patina. So yeah, and they're in a pair. So that's kind of the condition that everything that you're about to see is going to be in. So please forgive that. Like I said in one of my other videos, this used to be a plumbing supply company after it was a shoe factory. And there are tons and tons of these never used vintage sinks of all colors. And they have those kind of 70s style colors. And I listed a few on Facebook Marketplace. And everybody was interested in the pink ones. So I've segregated all the pink toilets and all the pink sinks. And it's surprising how interesting people are in pink stuff for a bathroom, but not for me. Here's another one with some pretty trippy hardware on it. But yeah, if you're doing a vintage bathroom in pink, that's your piece. Okay, so here's a set of late 60s, early 70s lawn furniture. These are aluminum lawn chairs, and yeah, look at that pattern. So they're dirty, but they're not too bad a condition. There's a little chipping around some of the stitching and stuff, but There's actually a recliner here, and these are real ultralight aluminum furniture pieces. Okay, so this is a little outside the scope of the majority of the stuff that I'm interested in, but these are old streetlight covers, and they're very substantial. Heavy glass, patterned glass, and I saved them because there's several of them, and if somebody wanted to do some outdoor lighting, they would be perfect as a complete set. So here's an early 1900s medical cabinet, surgical cabinet, and it's made by Sloan, S-L-O-A-N, and this was actually painted in this like lead-based white paint, and it was incredibly hard to get that off of there. I tried every stripper in the book. I tried a heat gun, every trick in the book, but in the end, I actually ended up having to use a wire brush and a drill, and it still did not want to come off. But countless hours of elbow grease got it done. There's still a few little areas where you can see there's some remaining, but overall it looks pretty good. And I put way more time into this piece than the actual piece is worth. So, but it's a labor of love. It's really cool. I wouldn't even mind having this in my own place. So there are a few of these around the factory, and they're original to the factory. These are the bells that would ring, I guess, every day for shift change or for a fire alarm. And yeah, they need to be cleaned up and clear coated, but they're pretty cool. They're ultra heavy, and I think I've got a set of about 3 or 4 of them. Let's see if I can. Actually, it's so heavy it's hard to pick up with one hand. As a matter of fact, I actually have the internal workings of the bells for these, so I'm not sure what I should do with those because they're built into the wall, and I don't know how difficult that'll be to get them extracted. So, but yeah, great for a man cave or a she shed. Super cool. Okay, so here's a mid-century modern chair. It's seen better days, but the leather's actually pretty intact. It just needs a good cleaning. It is Thonet, and I was kind of surprised to see that here. Little spot rusting on the chrome, and a little bit of damage here under the bottom, some fraying. But the leather's actually in good condition, just super dusty. So here's a giant porcelain enamel cast iron 3-sink basin trough, and I've seen these before where they'll have a family that's got 3 kids and they'll put, you know, a name above each individual faucet. But they're really cool. This is so ultra heavy that I'm going to leave it in here, and I can't move it by myself. But there's no chipping to the porcelain. It's in perfect condition. I believe it's new because there was another one that was actually still in a wooden crate that we sold. But you can see that the sticker, the dirt ring around where the sticker was, which eventually fell off, is still there. So never been used, but really awesome vintage sink. Okay, so all over the factory are these different antique doors. This factory was built in 1919, so the doors and the hardware and the signage is all really old. And they're all purpose-built, so they're kind of funky. They've got a lot of character to them. This particular one, I think, was for an equipment cage because it's got some mesh wire in it. But super patina, really thick, solid wood stuff with great hardware on them. So, yeah, pretty cool. Here's another one. And these are super thick, super heavy duty. Look at that thing. I don't know if you can actually get a sense of the scale of that. in this video, but that door's big enough pretty much to drive a pickup truck through. And so this fire door with these cast iron sliders pulley system is really awesome. Super color. I like to set aside different components whenever I find them, and this is, I think it's like a globe Wernicke or similar base to an office chair. And I think it would be great as a lamp base because you could roll the lamp around, and it's got a threaded shaft there, which would make it pretty easy to adapt. And it's really cool. I like to find little stuff like that that I can repurpose. Okay, so I got to turn my camera for this one. This is kind of a novelty piece, Woody Allen's. It was from an old furniture store. It's hand painted. I don't know from what decade it is. I don't think it's super old, but it's definitely not a super modern font. So if you can recognize the font and could tell me what decade that's from, that would be awesome. Yeah, definitely hand painted. So I've always been interested in vintage American workwear, like the chore coats and the old denim jackets and railroad uniforms, that kind of thing. So I snapped this up when I saw it. I was super excited to find it. It's an old industrial clothing rack. It's called a Sunflower, and I believe it was made for women's skirts. It's got these pedal type metal bands around here that you could hang things on. May have been a tie rack or something, but I believe it was a women's skirt rack, which is kind of surprising because it is way overbuilt. And there's a graphic up here that says Chicago on it and 1912. I doubt you can read that, but it does say 1912 on it. And it's a retail rack. It's super overbuilt, heavy industrial style. So that's really cool. I don't know how interesting these would be to anybody, but this was kind of a ladder that went into an enclosed area here at the factory, and I cut it in half, and I thought it would be great for hanging items on to suspend above an island, or even as a towel rack in a bathroom. So heavy gauge steel, super cool, rustic, nice patina, and just needs to be wire brushed and clear coated. So the rest of these items are kind of heavy, and I'm by myself, so I'm going to just come in here and try to film them in place and show them off to you that way. So right there is a local jailhouse toilet. That's novelty for sure, but I know for a fact in the Midwest it's probably a little bit too cold. Wouldn't be a very friendly toilet to use in the Midwest. So here is a really cool old bolt bin. It's really awesome because it's got a cool patina, and these boards are so worn in front of each of the different little cubby holes because it's been used for so long. So it's still got some writing. Unfortunately, that's all in chalk, so it won't stay. But it's really heavy duty, and it's got that worn, rubbed look, and I really like it. I'm sorry I can't get much of a better angle here, but this is an old general store cabinet, and I thought it would be great for a little potting station on somebody's back porch on the opposite side. Got some shelving there, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, this factory is full of these old porcelain enamel lampshades. I'm going to show you in a minute a large collection that I have put aside. But I also found at least 100 of these old iron casters, different styles, different sizes. They're everywhere, all over the factory. So, okay, so the building was full of these porcelain enamel lampshades. And so I've been kind of gathering them into one place so I can go through and clean them up. I think I've got about 65 different lampshades here, and some kind of unique individual lamps. This is actually a halophane industrial lampshade, and I was told before we bought the building, they had about 6 or 8 auctions, and at one of the auctions there was an entire wagon load full of these things, and they said that the entire wagon load sold for $5. It was back in the day. It was like at least 15, 20 years ago. And these are halophane, and they are worth hundreds of dollars. So it's enough to make you cry that somebody got about 40 of them for $5. Here's another halophane lampshade. And this is an old oil can that we found. It's a gargoyle, probably 1920s-ish. It's pretty neat. It's almost illegible. It's kind of far gone, but it's not rusted out. There's no holes in it. The text is barely legible, but there's the logo there. Make sure the screen's not too dirty. But yeah, got a stack of lampshades there, and lots of miscellaneous lampshades. We've got another halophane lamp here. And yeah, my thinking is that once I start to make progress with the building, at least get the ground floor kind of cleared out and rehabbed, I want to line the bays with these lampshades. So kind of try to bring it back, at least in some small part, to its former glory. So here is an old green parts station from a gas station, and it's currently covered with dust and raccoon droppings, but once it's cleaned up, it looks really awesome. I did actually clear coat it, and it's just gathered a lot of dust since then, but yeah, it's pretty neat. And okay, so here's a really giant, cool old Machinist Cabinet, and the look of it is so super awesome. It's got all these earth tones on it, and it really shows its age. There are a few missing drawers here down at the bottom, but it could be a major piece. I mean, it's got a look to it, and it's going to be an awesome piece in somebody's living room. Here's another Machinist Cabinet, which I actually refinished, and has since gathered a lot of dust. I need to get all this stuff out and wiped off and cleaned and properly preserved. So an old chalkboard from the schoolhouse, and here's an old sidecar for a bicycle. And this was pretty cool. This was actually, it came with the factory, and somebody had hid it. I guess somebody had their eye on it because it was all covered up and hidden. But yeah, I pulled that out, and that would look awesome with some flowers planted in it out in the garden. This particular rolling cart, so hard to see how nice some of this stuff is. It's because of this particular rolling cart came from the Firestone factory. There was a guy who worked there and would pull this cart around with his bicycle, and he'd have all his tools in there. And it's got 4 wheels on it, so it sits vertically, but he would attach that handle in the back there to his bike and just pull it around to work on the different production lines. But yeah. U.S. Marine Corps gas can. And here are a couple of work lights that actually came from the Charleston Fire Department. They say CFD number 3, and I guess they were for on location when they were fighting fires. They set those on the ground to light the building up so they could see what they were doing. And there's a pair of those. Here are a couple of giant chalkboards. I think those were used in the factory to write information for the shifts coming on and going out. Okay, so this is an old industrial set of lockers, and it came from a fire department, actually. The numbers are stenciled in, and the patina on this thing is beautiful. I don't know if you can see it because the window behind it is backlighting it, but it's got that wire mesh in it. Looks super industrial, but super chic as well. Just needs to be cleaned up, and this is really special. I was so excited when I found this, especially because the numbers show its age so well, and there's, you know, individual locks, so it could be a liquor cabinet or it could be a place to store your favorite rare books. But yeah, it's definitely got a look, got some character to it, and it is well built. Now, when we bought this factory, the entire thing was just filled with random vintage things. And I found this old school stool. These would be like in the science lab. And I thought that was really cool. So when we took all of the desks to the recycling lot, I was hoping I'd find more things like this, but they were just kind of those standard old children's school desks, so they all got recycled. But that particular science lab stool is really cool, and so I set it up. Here's an old table. This is actually part of a two-piece industrial workbench that I found, and this was actually given to me for free. It was in a barn, and the legs had basically rusted off. It was sitting on the ground, but it's still got the original wood surface up here. And there's another segment that sits up on top, which is really awesome. Let me take you and show that part to you. There are several old carts here in the factory, and I will not really sell these because they come in so useful moving stuff around the building. But here's the second section to that work table, and this sat up on that table. It's covered with snow at the moment because the windows are broken, and we just had a giant Midwest snowstorm and snow's blown in. But yeah, look how cool that is. It's perfect for somebody that collects records, or, you know, there's these areas over here to put wine bottles in. This could be like a home entertainment stand. You could put a large screen TV up on top. But it is like way overbuilt. It's super heavy steel. I don't know if you can see that, how thick that is. But, well, that's not solid steel, but it is reinforced, and it's super heavy. It takes 3 full-grown men to lift that sucker up, but it has a really cool look to it. And like I said, I found this in an old barn. They were having an estate sale, and it was right at the end of the sale. And she's like, you can have whatever you want out of the barn. So I replaced the legs on that table, and this actually sits up kind of like a mail desk, you know, where somebody would sort mail at a desk, but this was actually for industrial parts. So she said she thought it also came out of the Firestone factory, but was not sure about that. And then there are all these kind of random carts all around the factory. Like I said, I'm hesitant to sell any of those or do anything with those because they come in so handy. Here are a few more things. It's actually a pile of old barnwood. My uncle's barn, he wanted to get rid of it, so I salvaged a lot of the beams and the siding. But this is some old general store display cabinets, and they look super dirty at the moment. They have the original leaded glass in them, and these pieces here, they sit up on top of there, so it's about 8.5 feet tall. And they're super substantial, and this spring I'm going to totally refurbish those and get them so they look spectacular. They look pretty good when I got them, and now they've sat and gathered dust, but they're going to be totally refurbished. Here's another one over here. There's a top section and then a bottom section down here. That's like an apothecary style. I don't know if you can see how long that is. It's kind of hard to see from under this table, but there are 64 drawers there, and this thing is gorgeous when it's all together. Okay, so that's about it for today. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys soon.